Okay.
Ahí tienen papeles.
Oh, yeah, but you can jack it up, so it's like so high. Right? Yeah, I'll hold this. ¿Quieres quitar la chaqueta? Porque hace un poco de calor, ¿no?
Quítate. Ahí mero. Gracias.
Oh, no, it's just us right here. We're going to just staying on the side.
Good morning, afternoon, neighbors, friends, allies, members of the press, elected officials, from the youngest to the oldest. Thank you for being here. We have one big ask from all of you, and that is to please be abundant in sharing in the space, because we're going to have members of our community coming into the room now. And this is a place where we're asking people not to step in because press needs the first row in that area. Other than that, please join us in abundance, because this is your bell, this is your movement, and we are accountable to you all. En español, compañeros, Pablo, pasa por favor. Bienvenidos. Vamos a dar la bienvenida a los miembros de la comunidad que llegaron hoy. El único lugar donde no nos podemos sentar es en la primera fila y en la parte de aquí, porque es para los miembros de la prensa. Y nos vamos a hacer chiquitos de cuerpo, pero grandes de espíritu, para que toda la gente que viene aquí con las ganas de que esto sea un éxito, va a entrar al cuarto. Y este es el movimiento de todos y nosotros somos responsables por todos ustedes. Entonces hay que darle la bienvenida a los miembros que siguen allá afuera, ¿ok? Y una vez que entren, bien, entonces podemos dar la bienvenida a todos, por favor.
Ya, y si se pueden hacer un poquito más para allá, de este lado, sería mejor. Sí, ¿por qué no? Hasta allá lo tiran, hasta allá.
Más personas, por favor, la gente está haciendo que pase.
¿Cuándo empezamos?
Me voy a
Ahorita, ¿qué pasó? Súbelo adelante.
¿Hay
Sácalo
más
adelante.
gente allá afuera que necesita pasar?
Sácalo adelante. Sí, y Santi también puede estar adelante.
Ok. Ahí
Hay un poquito de
esquina.
the people move a
Y
little bit.
si se pueden mover. Es como si
No, este es para la acá voy a
sí, se pueden
Hay un
mover.
poquito de espacio en las esquinas y en las orillas. Los podemos acercar los que más se pueda.
O vamos a empezar. Espero que me oigan todos. Esperamos que nos escuchen todos. Yo y Malena vamos a estar haciendo los MC hoy con este día. So I wanna we're gonna introduce myself, but me and Malena we're gonna be the MC today. And I wanna thank you to everybody for being here in this movimiento, ¿verdad, Malena?
Sí, aquí estamos para bienvenidos a todos los que están aquí presentes y los que no pudieron venir. Welcome to everyone that is still present and the ones that were not able to come, that they are watching us by the Facebook Live or the news. Welcome everyone, and we are here.
And also, I want to thank you to all the community that is outside in the hallway and the other room. There is a full of people in there. So I want to say thank you. Community language, buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Jovita Morales, founder of MIM, the Minnesota Immigrant Movement, and community leader of the driving license bill in Minnesota since 2008. According to the 2019 report published by the Pew Research Center, there are 95,000 Minnesota residents and community members who are in desperate need for a driver license. Today, I stand to represent and advocate for those 95,000 voices that are continue to carry Minnesota forward. Our community carries it's a huge pain for not having access to a driver license for years, for decades. Immigrant parents cannot take their children to recreational and educational activities, and the result is that our youth are being left behind. It is not our children's fault that these laws are causing inequitable access to opportunities for the future. It is unfair. Parents are afraid to drive. Families have been traumatized, and therefore generational trauma and mental health continue to impact. We've been here for more than a decade, fighting for this initiative, and has deprived us from our human rights. Since 2012, our community has done a lot of work in their part, such as door knocking during elections, testimonial to the legislators, vigils, phone banking, lobbying, advocating, community meetings, Aztec dancing and ceremonials, hunger strike, and even campaigning outside of the state capitol. Despite global pandemic, and even today, in the middle of the winter storm, la caos, aquí estamos y no nos vamos. I want to finish by publicly thanking our state legislators who have supported our movement since at the beginning. Bobby Joe, former Representative Karen Clark, former Representative Carlos Mariani, Senator Bobby Joe Champion, who passed 3 times in the Senate, Senator Scott Debo, and Representative Frank Hornstein, Representative Rod Hamilton, and the many other legislators who have stood beside our community. I also want to recognize the work of all the organizations, churches, businesses, and last but not least, the entire community. Once again, my name is Jovita Morales, founder of the Minnesota Immigrant Movement. On behalf of the 95,000 Minnesota residents, I demand that the legislators, Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Penny Flanagan, to pass driver license bill. The moment is now, 2023. Gracias.
My name is Maylena Gutierrez. I am director at Unidos Minnesota in Central Minnesota. I lead Faith and Justice Unidos faith-based program. I am an immigrant of Black heritage from Mexico, and I live in St. Cloud. Unidos Minnesota is a grassroots organization that builds power for Minnesota working families to advance social, racial, and economic justice. In 2022, Unidos Minnesota led the largest Latino GOTV program in Minnesota. Thousands of Minnesotans voted pro-immigrant, and now, with the help of many, we have elected a pro-immigrant trifecta with a pathway to pass important legislation. Elections are important. Voters are important. Voters care about us, help set up the conditions to do life-changing work for our families. And now we are going to invite José Maldonado. Well, José Maldonado is not here today because of the conditions of the crime. So we are going to invite Daniel to
Yes,
talk
I'm
about
here.
the proceedings.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here today. My name is Daniel Del Toro. I'm a volunteer in Unidos Minnesota. I'm also a member of Local 68. So I will be reading Josue's testimony. As you know, the weather, he couldn't make it. It's very risky, and he has a baby who's special. So I will be reading in Spanish, and then I will read it in English. So, hola, mi nombre es Josué y soy líder de la cooperativa Construyendo Futuros y miembro del sindicato de los carpinteros del local 68. Nunca pensé que me pasaría a mí, pero aquí estamos, frente a un problema común de magnitudes importantísimas para la sociedad, el derecho de todos nosotros a mantener una licencia de conducir. En el 2012 nació mi hijo André, dándonos la felicidad más grande que una familia puede tener. Desde que mi hijo nació, hemos tenido la necesidad de mantener, de manejar, de un lado a otro para sus largas terapias y cirugías, ya que él tiene triplegia motora o parálisis cerebral. Yo ya no les tengo que contar. Aquí todos y cada uno sabemos las luchas de salir con la licencia de Dios, sino una licencia de conducir, esperando regresar a nuestras familias después de un largo día de trabajo. Somos una de las tantas familias de inmigrantes que llegamos aquí a superarnos. sumándonos al esfuerzo, a la fuerza trabajadora del Estado. Durante la pandemia nos llamaron trabajadores esenciales, pero nosotros sabemos que siempre hemos sido esenciales para nuestras familias y nuestros hijos. Somos un pueblo lleno de cultura, ansioso de superarnos, y que llegamos aquí para adoptar las normas y las culturas diferentes para hacerla nuestra y construir un nuevo hogar con nuestros hijos. Proveemos servicios, construimos casas, trabajamos en los ranchos, preparamos alimentos con nuestras manos, cuidamos niños, estudiamos, ayudando a nuestras comunidades a encontrar prosperidad y haciendo solo una petición importantísima. Necesitamos restaurar el derecho a una licencia de conducir para todos. Como trabajador de construcción, padre de familia y como ser humano que no tuve la fortuna de nacer en este lado de la frontera, hoy vengo junto con todos mis compañeros aquí presentes a solicitar el apoyo de representantes, de senadores, de vicegobernador, del gobernador, de asegurarnos que en el año 2023 es nuestro año y de nuestra comunidad, y de dejar de tener miedo al ir al volante. Que el 2023 es el año de las licencias para conducir para todos. Paz, salud y lucha por la licencia de conducir. Arriba, compañeros, y adelante. Gracias. Okay.
¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede!
Ok. La coalición tiene el compromiso con ustedes y en este momento vamos a invitar al gobernador Walz y a la lieutenant governor con nosotros, porque ellos también hicieron un compromiso antes de las elecciones y es el momento en que los invitamos a ellos para que
We're just asking you to just keep the program. We're just asking you to stand with us for a little.
How you doing? Good to see you.
bienvenidos.
Okay, now I will be reading in English, if that's okay. Josué's testimony. Hello, my name is Josué, and I am a leader with Future Leaders Cooperative and a member of Local 668 Carpenter Union. I never thought it would happen to me, but here we are, facing a common problem of very important magnitude for the society, the right of all of us to drive with a driver's license. In 2012, my son Andre was born given us the greatest happiness that a family can have. Since my son was born, we had to drive from one place to hemiplegia or cerebral palsy. I have to tell you, each and every one of us here knows the struggle of going out with God's license, but without a driver's license, waiting to return to our final day of work. We are one of many immigrant families who came to excel, joining the workforce of this state and this country. During the pandemic, they call us essential workers, but we know that we have always been essential to our families and our children and our community. And cultures to make it our own and build a home with our children. We farm, we prepare food with our hands, we take care of our children, we study, we help our communities find prosperity, and making only one very important request. We need to restore the rights to have a As a construction worker, father of a family, as a human being who was not lucky enough to be born on this side of the border, today I come along with all my colleagues here, to request support from representatives, senators, lieutenant governor, and governor Walz, to make sure that 2023 is the year that our community stops being afraid of driving. May 2023 be the year of driving licenses for everyone. Thank you all so much for being here.
Yes, we can. 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 Yes, we will.
You missed.
¿Se puede? ¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede!
Listo. Bueno, we wanna thank you to everybody again. You missed my speech. You missed that. I'm really mad. I'm mad. I'm upset of that. Anyway, but I know that you are here. We're gonna introduce you to speak about driver license as we are here. Of a community waiting for this trifecta 2023 now. Right.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Today is a good day. Welcome to your house. Welcome to your Minnesota. We are so happy to be here, and I am impressed by the turnout, despite the weather, which just shows that when we really need to, Minnesotans show up for each other, and that's what we're here to do today. As a mom, as a person of faith, as a follower of Christ, I am excited and I am eager to get this legislation across the finish line. With the most racially diverse set of lawmakers in Minnesota history and a Democratic House and Senate, we finally have the opportunity to get this bill across the finish line and signed by the governor. Restoring access to driver's license for everyone in Minnesota is long overdue. As Jovita said, it was 2008, correct? When this was first introduced. That's a very long time, especially in the lives of our children. And so the pathway, you have made the pathway by walking, and now it is up to us to get it done. You're going to hear from Governor Walz in just a moment, and he's going to tell you that he's been an outspoken advocate for this on a very long time. When I first met Governor Walz, then teacher Coach Walz in 2005, this is something that we talked a lot about. And I know that he has been a steadfast supporter of driver's licenses. Changing policies that were meant to exclude us or even harm us isn't easy, but you have to show up, and you have shown up time and time again. It is my hope that we can work together with the legislature this year to get this bill on the governor's desk to finally become law in Minnesota. It is the right thing to do. It is the just thing to do. I feel incredibly accountable in this moment because the Archbishop is here. And I know that our faith tells us to welcome the stranger. And that us to care for one another. And this is one of the most full, authentic displays of our faith and action that we can take. So thank you so much for being here, and just know that the opportunity is right before us. And thank you for all of you who have done this work and led this work, told your stories. May that not be in vain this year. And with that, I will introduce my favorite coworker, Governor Tim Walz.
Good afternoon, everyone, and Archbishop, it's great to see you here. A belated Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you. I too want to express my gratitude that on the opening of the House and Senate, we have great leaders that are with us here, that the people are here to express their voice. This is the way democracy is supposed to work. So I am grateful for that. I also think to let Minnesotans know the issue we're talking about. Just to be clear, up till 2003, this was not an issue. Okay, not an issue. And I think all of us know the times and what was happening at that time. It was to fear the stranger. It was to put things in. It was, as the Lieutenant Governor said, about exclusion. In the 20 years since this has been in, it has not made our state any safer. It's made it less safe. As this has been in, it's not made it any fairer. And let's be very clear about this. This is an issue of basic human dignity. It's an issue of acknowledgement that we are a state of immigrants and the value of this state is so enhanced by the people being here. I did in Minnesota in 2006 because the people supported it too. They understood that our agricultural economy in southern Minnesota was dependent on the incredible workforce we had down there. They understood that our child care industry was incredibly indebted to our immigrant community who was caring for our children, caring for our parents. And they understood that people are going to drive. Why not have them licensed and insured to do so? Let them allowed to be able to do that. The issue was never even controversial. So as you're hearing to the people of Minnesota, once again, I tell you this, this has only been 20 years that we did this. It accomplished absolutely nothing except forcing people underground, attacking their dignity, making it harder for people to get to work, to take their children to doctor's appointments, for goodness sakes. And in states that have licenses, we've seen that accidents have decreased. We've seen that public safety has increased. We've seen that productivity has increased. So there are so many reasons to do this, just to be clear. Now is the time to do it. Now, this has simply been a cruel policy that did nothing good. And I think many of us understood that. So now is the time, and I want people to know, there's a reason our faith is supporting it. There is a reason that our public safety and police officers are supporting it. And look in the paper, our employers need workers, and we know that this community works and is willing to do what's possible. So, if you're an employer looking for a good, hard someone to work and get that done, why would we make it more difficult for them to get there safely? Why would we hold back our economy when we see this is out there? So again, I tell the people of Minnesota, you see the advocates are here. These are the types of policies that may not impact you directly, but they are impacting you. They're holding our state back economically. They're holding our state back in terms of the contributions that this community gives across the spectrum, entrepreneurs, artists, doctors, whatever it may be. All of those things are holding us back. And this is a chance to once again, and we feel very strongly about this. This is a state we want everyone to feel welcome in Minnesota. So this is a simple thing to do. Pass this legislation, and I know you're going to hear from the folks who are going to make that happen. Get it to our desk and sign it. And you know what change in Minnesota? We'll restore dignity to people who deserve that. We will make sure that our safety conditions improve, and we will make sure that our economy continues to thrive that is predicated on this workforce. You hear it time and time again. We're getting older. We need an influx of good young workers who want to make this state their home. Well, my message to the rest of the country is you are welcome in Minnesota, and let's get this done so I can also say, and you're going to have a Minnesota driver's license.
Y a todos los elected officials que están aquí que se pasen, porque ya llegaron más, nada más que se pueden aquí.
So we're gonna introduce a speaker, but we wanted to bring and tell all the legislators to come up here. I know that they are coming, and denle un chance para pasar, and they can come over here. Rina, I'm gonna introduce to Rina Marie. Oh, yeah, Rina, yeah.
Buenas tardes, compañeros. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters, hermanos y hermanas. I am here my name is Rina Wong. I am the president of UFCW Local 663. We represent 17,000 essential workers in food, food processing, retail, healthcare, and other industries. And I'm here today to read the remarks from one of our members from Worthington, from JBS, Emily Jimenez. She is a meatpacking worker. She could not be here today because the road conditions are very bad down south. And so Emily
works at JBS and has been a member of 663. And she wants to speak on behalf of her community. It is important to have licenses for all because I know the fear of many people who drive and go out every day to work, either going from their homes to work, to drop off and pick up their children from school or their daycare, and even going to the store is a risk for them because they know that if they are stopped, they might not ever have a license or have the ability to are below zero. There are people who have to go walk out of fear. We live in a country where driving should not be a luxury. It should be a necessity. And the fact that we do not have licenses because of our status means that we don't have the abilities to drive safely, to drive by the rules, to have the basic requirements like insurance. And by law, you need to have this document, and we want to have that. It is not fair for our people that because of status, they cannot drive and cannot live their daily lives. Thank you for taking the time to hear these remarks, member down in Worthington. Y ojalá que en este año de 2023 podemos decir sí se pudo y no sí se puede. And so hopefully in this year in 2023, we can say, yes, we did, and not yes, we can.
¿Se puede o no se puede? ¿Se puede o no se puede? ¡Sí se puede!
Now we are going to invite our Archbishop Bernard Anthony.
Buenos tardes a todos. As was mentioned, my name is Bernard Hebda, and I am the Archbishop of the Diocese of St. Paul in Minneapolis. And I'm here today representing my brothers from throughout the state of the Minnesota Catholic Conference. I'm honored to speak on behalf of Driver's Licenses for All, a legislative proposal that is long overdue in its passage, and one for which there is an urgency to act, as we've been hearing. As a Catholic bishop, I desire to focus today on the moral imperative of passing this legislation because of its impact on family life. Immigrant driver's licenses will assist with a very basic component of what people need to subsist in modern life: transportation to school, to work, to church. In many parts of Minnesota, there is no public transportation. With no public transportation, undocumented persons have limited ability to get to work, to church, to the market, or to school, other than by driving without a license. Every Minnesota resident, especially those who have proven themselves as hardworking contributors to our communities, deserve to live with dignity, not in fear of being separated from their families every time they drive to meet basic needs. If enacted, the new law would keep immigrant families together by minimizing the possibility that a minor traffic infraction would trigger the engagement of the federal immigration and customs enforcement apparatus. Most of us cannot even begin to imagine what loss of movement or the fear of being deported and separated from our families while doing so would mean in our lives. In fact, in our many parishes that serve so many undocumented persons and their families, the inability to drive or doing so without a license is a major source of stress. The reality that each trip to the grocery store could mean separation from families takes its toll. As a church, we work in the public arena to keep families together and help them to flourish. Creating driver's licenses for all is a part of our Families First policy agenda. I hope that today we as Minnesotans follow the common biblical moral exhortation as mentioned by the Lieutenant Governor to welcome the stranger. And remember that most of our families too were once strangers in this land, arriving with the same hope that our undocumented community has today. Though the situation at the border is troubling and we live under a broken system, Congress so far has neglected to produce comprehensive immigration reform. We can do something meaningful and important for thousands of immigrants in our midst by shielding law-abiding residents from family separation while also promoting public safety and the common good. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tamara Nelson, and she is the Executive Director of Grupos. Welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to be here again. I am Tamara Nelson, Executive Director of the Minnesota Agri-Growth Council. I've actually traveled to more than 52 countries, and I hope I've been to your home country. Just as I know my great-grandparents and my husband's great-grandparents, whether they came from Bohemia or whether they came from Denmark, whether they came for economic opportunity or for farmland, we are all immigrants. Agri-Growth is a not-for-profit membership organization. We have members all the way from individual farmers, cooperatives, to Fortune 500 food companies, and those include many of the processors and food companies that Rena and others have mentioned. Our members play a critical role in getting our homegrown food products, not only here to Minnesota, but also nationwide and to the world. Every year we develop a list of priorities at Agri-Growth, and for many years, workforce has been very close to the top of the priorities. In the last 3 years, it's been number one. We value our immigrants, we value our workers, and the food and agricultural system here in Minnesota could not exist without you. Our industry, in fact, is the second largest economic driver in our state. And so you are all a part of that. You are critically important to our economy. I'm honored to offer these remarks in support of the driver's license for all bill. We've supported the initiative for more than 5 years. It was needed then, and it is even more critical now as we find and retain and keep our workers safe and healthy and happy. The time, as many others have mentioned, is now to complete this. Our economic health, our regional and global competitiveness, they all rely on the many contributions that immigrants make to our state and to our communities. As I mentioned, immigrants are critical to our past, to our present, and to our future. The essential agri-food industry and our workers cannot survive, much less thrive, without immigrant workers. Ensuring your ability to receive driver's training, driver's license IDs, and to secure insurance will not only improve your lives, but it will improve our communities and public safety. We're a leader in so many ways, as Governor Walz noted. As we continue to wait for federal immigration reform, as the Archbishop indicated, it's imperative we come together as Minnesotans to develop solutions to keep our state's people and our economy strong, safe, and sustainable. I thank you for this opportunity, and let's get this done. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tao Sion, Executive Director of Coalition of Asian American Leaders. If you want, there is more space here if you want to come here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kamei Chong, and I'm so excited to be here today. For folks who are watching us from the cameras, this room is jam-packed and everyone is sweating. But the energy is undeniable, and it makes me extremely emotional to be here. The first time I learned about driver's license was in 2014, and we were so close. And so I'm very excited to be here to be able to support the campaign and to make sure that we get it done this year. Again, my name is Tao Mei Shang. I'm the Executive and Network Director for the Coalition of Asian American Leaders, also known as CAL. CAL is a network of over 5,500 Asian American leaders from throughout the state of Minnesota, hailing as far north as Warroad and Big River Falls, and as far south as Worthington and Rochester. And of course, we're spread throughout the 7-county metro here. CAL works on policy, advocacy, leadership support, and we do unique research and data. I'm here today to express the need for the legislature to advance driver's license for all in the state of Minnesota, and to also share the positive impact this will have on Asian Minnesotans and all Minnesotans. Asian Minnesotans are one of the fastest growing populations in Minnesota and across the country. Currently, we've grown 44.7% over the past decade, with an average population of 350,000, an estimated population of 350,000. Asian Minnesotans encompass over 40 diverse cultural communities here in Minnesota. 60% of the Asian population here are Southeast Asian refugee and immigrants. And based on the data from Concordia University, Asian Minnesotans have an estimated $10 billion in buying power. We own over 15,000 plus businesses and small businesses and micro businesses, creating an estimated 27,000 jobs. Asian Minnesotans need their driver's license to be able to restore their, to be able to continue their positive and important contributions to Minnesota's economy and community. And earlier I heard someone say we are more than workers. We are more than workers. We are an integral part of the fabric of Minnesota. So with or without passing this bill, which we will continue to be here regardless, making really important and vital economic and social contributions. And a great example is during the global pandemic, Asian Minnesotans experienced some of the highest mortality and infection rates in the state. Based on a report that CAL did, looking at 2020 death records, Asian Minnesotans only make up 5% of the population in Minnesota, but 6% of the mortality deaths in Minnesota. And of that 6%, over 50% were Hmong, Karen, and Karenni deaths. Why do we make up such a large percentage? Southeast Asian immigrants and refugees are disproportionately impacted. We're disproportionately impacted by COVID because we are frontline workers. We are health workers. We are food service workers. We are nonprofit leaders providing direct service to the most marginalized and most disadvantaged in our community. So as we put our lives at risk to ensure the safety and well-being of all Minnesotans, we're asking now that the Minnesota legislature step up to support us and ensure that we have access that we once had that was stopped to driver's license. And so to ensure the health and well-being of everyone in this community, because we know that a public health pandemic is not isolated to one race, one ethnicity, or one community, that we are all interconnected, that the health and well-being of one community impacts the health and well-being of another community, that we urge the legislature to restore access to driver's license for the critical economic and social success of our state. Thank you.
¿Se puede o no se puede? ¿Se puede o no se puede? ¡Se puede! I'm an honor to introduce the elected officials. Also, I want to thank you, and also we have a lot of legislators that they're gonna be standing up, las autoras of our driver license. But first of all, we have to recognize that we have in the whole history una mujer, a woman who is representing the people of color, la comunidad Somali, that she's first time in the history, right? As a senator, yes. And we have a first Latina well, not the first one, the third one first, the third one, right? The third Latinas, that it's also Representative Maria. Maria representa a Maria, muchas Marias. Maria Isa as a representative. So it's an honor to have you both. Démosle un aplauso, no? Like they're gonna be fighting for us. They're gonna be fighting for us. And also, I'm gonna introduce you the electors officials, and then we're gonna go through Aisha Gomez, who is the author of the bill in the House.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It's so
Good afternoon.
I'm feeling a little sleepy. I know it's a little hot in here. It is so good to be here with all of you. My name is Zaida Mohammed. I am the newly sworn in state senator from Senate District 63 in South. And it is my absolute honor to be able to announce that I will be carrying the driver's licenses for all this legislature in the Minnesota Senate. And before I get into the bill, there are so many people to thank who have done this work prior to me. And I want to take a moment and acknowledge Senator Bobby Joe Champion, who I know wanted to be here but could not be here. And I want to recognize his leadership. Senator Champion chief-authored this bill when it was highly controversial and almost a political suicide. And he did it because he cared. Not only did he lead ahead of his time, Senator Champion passed a number of times in the Minnesota Senate. He led with vision and with dignity and with respect, and I could not be here to be able to do this without him. So I want to take that moment and make sure that you all know he's the one who's carried it the last 3 times. And Senator Champion and I are going to be carrying it together. We're going to be joined at the head, and it will be a partnership, and I'm excited to be able to do this with him. You know, and of course, this work could not have been done without you, the people. Without the people who have done this work, like Jovita, over the last almost 2 decades, who've been leading on this. 2 decades?
Since 2008.
Since 2008, who has been leading this with courage and with hard work. And it could not have been done without you and without all of you for consistently showing up. You've been told no time and time again, and you still showed up. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause. You know, in the weeks leading up to today, I've had a lot of time to reflect about what it means to be a state senator, what it means to help lead my community, and what it means to take on this important legislation. And after doing some time and speaking to many of you, praying about it, doing reflection, I can't help but to understand why we haven't done it prior. But we have an opportunity to get it done this year. Not just because we have a trifecta, but because it should be a nonpartisan issue. And we should have done it a long time ago. Our immigrant communities deserve to live with dignity and with respect, and they need an opportunity in order to be able to succeed. Too many are held back because they're not able to drive, and they can't get to work. They can't get to the hospital and take their elderly mother. They can't take their child to school in the morning. They come here for an opportunity, and we're not giving it to them just because. This is a legislation that has been in the books prior. We've had it. Number of other states have had it right now, and we have had it since 2003. And it's time to fix it because we failed the people in the state who are immigrants. There are a number of reasons why we need to pass it. Why we need to pass this important legislation. It will benefit our economy, and we know that. Our immigrant communities have an enormous potential in our state, and they want to get involved in the economy and do the right thing. And right now, we are not letting them. It will make our roads safer. Our governor talked about that. Fewer accidents, fewer hit and runs, fewer uninsured drivers. We can get that done. It is a public safety issue. It will make life easier for our neighbors who are immigrants. Parents with licenses will be able to help their children get to school on time, visit our doctors, and access essential healthcare and services. This would allow all Minnesotans to live with dignity and with respect. It is about treating everybody who lives here with respect and dignity no matter what their immigration status is. And on a personal level, why I wanted to take on this bill is because I'm not just a daughter of an immigrant who's now a lawmaker. I am an immigrant. I came to this country when I was 9 years old. I know what it feels like to have a family members who cannot get to work because they cannot drive. And I can't imagine doing this work and starting today on the first day of session without introducing this and getting it done. So let's get it done. I'm excited to be able to do this. And of course, I can't stand here without thanking my colleagues, my fellow Senator Hoffman, Senator Mary Kunish, Senator Elise Mann, Senator Scott Dibble, Senator Liz Bolden, Senator Eric Putnam, Senator Uma Verbieten, Senator Heather Gustafson, and of course, Senator Ann Murphy and our members in the House. And I can't wait to do this work, but I especially cannot do it. I can't wait to do it with my sister from the South Side. Aisha Gomez.
Yeah. Okay. So we all.
Now we are going to invite our representative, Aisha Gomez. She is one of our leaders that has been working really hard since we started the coalition, even that we were doing a lot of work before that. I see her in the meetings, and every meeting she's there, and she's been very committed to us. We welcome Representative.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes a todos. It's great to see everybody. I think that I think it was Senator Mohammed said, if you can't see, or actually it was Talmay, if you can't see this room is packed. And outside in the hallway, there are hundreds of people outside. And you know, yesterday, because of the snow that's happening outside, we heard that there were you know, the buses of people who wanted to come from southern Minnesota, who wanted to come from St. Cloud and from Worthington and from all parts of our state. We're not able to make it here, but they're with us here today.
Right.
That's right. And not only the people around our state who want to be with us right now, right, but there are so many thousands of people over the last 18 years, 14 years. We're all doing the math in our heads. 15-ish years. I mean, you know, of demands for justice over the last 14 years. And those demands for justice have not been heard in these hallways in previous years. And it's not because the community wasn't doing their work. And it's not because the community wasn't organizing and wasn't on point and didn't have everything together. It's because the people who have controlled power in these spaces have not always heard the cries from our communities, have not always heard the cries from the people of Minnesota. Yes. But today, you had the governor at this podium. Yes, and we're so thankful that the governor and the lieutenant governor were at this podium today. And my name's Aisha Gomez. I'm a representative from the south side of Minneapolis, District 62A. I'm pleased to partner with my sister Maria Isa Perez Vega, who is right here. So we're kind of going to be co-leading this effort in the House of Representatives.
Yes.
And so Maria Isa and I, actually from the moment that she took office, that she got elected, she's been talking to our leadership and saying, this is a priority for me, and this needs to be a priority for our caucus. And driver's licenses for all will be House File 4. And what that means, right? And the order matters, okay? What that means is that
This is a top priority of the Minnesota DFL House Caucus, and we are committed to getting this done. And Senator Mohammed talked about well, we're going to call him President Champion. We're going to call him by his title that he has earned, President of the Senate, Senator Bobby Joe Champion. And you know, when I came in 2018, so I've only been in for 4 years, but I have been working with the coalition with community members during that time. But for the
last 4 years, this effort has been carried by former Majority Leader Ryan Winkler, and before that, it was carried by Representative Karen Clark, and Senator Patricia Torres Rey carried it in 2018, I think. No,
she never.
Okay, she never carried. Excuse me. I'm just Senator Champion carried it in 2018. So and Scott Dibble and our transportation chair in the House, Frank Hornstein, are moving this quickly.
Yes.
That's right. And so we thank them. We thank you. So you know, I think that you know, the reasons for this have been covered. We know that this is the right thing to do. It's always been the right thing to do. You all have always known it was the right thing to do. And thank you. Thank you for bringing along the people in this building. Thank you for continuing to show up. Your presence here matters. It matters deeply. It's so important that you've been here. And we're going to get this done this year. So my deep gratitude to you.
A lot of mujeres, puras mujeres. So I'm honored to present María Itza Pérez. Ella es la representante que ha sido elegido este año. So she is our representative that is being elected this year. Welcome. Huh? Yeah.
Buenas tardes. It's amazing to see our gente in this space amongst the weather that's outside. And that's to show you because we're strong in community and we care and we are going to get this through. It's not about anymore. My name is Representative Maria Isa Perez Vega, and yes, I am a proud West Sider. I represent 65B where the West Side is, and it is the first Latino body on the state of Minnesota. And as a Boricua hermana to our immigrant communities, I have seen the effects since 2003 when driver's licenses were taken away from our immigrant community. I have seen my friends been deported because they were driving to go to work, or they were driving to go to school. We can talk about how important it is in the workforce community, but let's talk about our children and our familias. Let's talk about the communities that build this Minnesota from the metro, the urban areas, all the way to the greater Minnesota areas of what makes Minnesota a strong economy. Let's make it safe. Our families want to be safe. Our communities want to be safe. Our students don't want to fear anymore not going home to their parents because they were trying to get to them to pick them up to go to school or go to the emergency rooms. ¿Sí se puede? ¡Sí se puede! Si tenemos derechos, ¿por qué han puesto fronteras para quitar sueños de sus niños? Sueños de sus padres y de sus antepasados que han luchado por este momento. El momento está aquí. Tenemos nuestra gente de todas partes del mundo que han nacido aquí o de allá que estamos aquí en solidaridad. We are coming from different places of this world and born here or not, and we're in solidarity to get this through. And I am excited. I'm excited. I'm not going to be living in fear and in question anymore because that's not why we ran. We ran to make things happen, and now we are elected, and we have gente that reflect our movements and our stories and our trauma and our pain. And we have folks who have privileges that are listening to us and fighting for us too. Gente, damos presente y sí se puede. Gracias.
Now we are going to invite we will come back. So now We can go outside, see our representatives, and do what your agenda is saying, like with your organization, and go and visit your representatives and let them know what we are here. So now we can go and do our work, and we will come back. We will come back when we need to sign, but through this, when we sign the law, that will be for driver license, but we will come back all the time when we need to come back to make sure that our representatives work really hard on this and pass driver license for all. Thank you.
Sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede.
Thank you so much, members of the press, senators and representatives. Before you leave, we have one last ask. We have a lot of people outside that came here to be with us in this message. And we ask you to please go to the small living room that is out here and share a few of your remarks. Because they came all the way in the snow in a bus. We had 4 buses canceled today, but they came from all corners. We have still people from Greater Minnesota here right now. Yes. And they came to see you and hear from you. So please give them a few minutes out here before you go on with your day. Thank you, everyone.
Gracias.
Thank you, every single organization. We didn't name them. USCW 63, Unite Here, SCIU Local 26, IOCN, Minnesota Immigrant Movement for Justice, Asamblea de Derechos Civiles, MIRA, Mercado Central, everybody, Unidos Minnesota, thank you so much.